Hey everybody, my name's William. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Today we're picking back up in the Cessna 208B Grand Caravan for another FSEconomy flight, picking up where we left off at McKenzie, and we'll be flying on to Hudson Hope today. Short flight, should be pretty cool. Once again, crossing back over those mountains. So we'll go ahead and jump into the planning, and then we'll get on with the flight. Alright, we'll take a look at FSEconomy for just a moment and figure out what our plan is. So we're in the My Flights page. You can see we're ready for departure from McKenzie. We have our 7 passengers ready to go. We planned that out in the last flight already, but we did get an additional cargo shipment going to Hudson's Hope as well, so it's on our way. Just checking, and it's about $600, so that'll definitely help us out for the flight. So we could also see the aircraft has 97 gallons of Jet A on board right now, so we can fill up here at McKenzie a little bit, but we also just want to check. Hudson's Hope does have some Jet A available, not a ton, so I really don't want to run them completely dry. If we can keep from it and just add a touch of fuel at McKenzie just to make sure that we're safe. And we can also see we've got plenty of jobs we can pick up at McKenzie. And we'll plan that out after the flight anyways. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit of fuel to the aircraft, not quite to 50%, but they've got plenty available here, and we'll just get the aircraft fueled up, and we'll go for 140 gallons. It should be plenty, and we can see we're still well within our limitations as far as carrying these passengers and cargo onto Hudson. So taking a look in SkyVector real quick, you can see the weather information. It looks like basically we'll probably be in for more of the same, going over the mountains, but then on the other side, nice and clear. The safe altitude kind of for the entire trip over is anything above 7,600, and we can also dip into this valley and kind of fly around up to the north. Either way, there's a couple good routes we can duck into and clear the terrain. And then looking at Hudson's Hope, airport elevation there, so 2,220 feet, and we got a pretty good sized runway for us today at Hudson's Hope. So we'll go ahead and get on into the aircraft, get on with our flight. Welcome on board the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan, everybody. We're on the ramp here at McKenzie. We can see our FSEconomy client open, aircraft available on the ground at McKenzie. So we'll go into flight actions and start flight. Let's make sure we got our passengers all loaded. We got our cargo loaded as well. So we're good now to go ahead and start the aircraft up and get on with our flight. We'll hide that client, get it out of the way, and we'll go through and get the aircraft ready for startup. We're kind of right in the middle of a taxiway, so we could go for a pushback from the crew there, but we'll just do a right turn and clear them that way. Let's see, the mixture control always starts all the way up, and sometimes I forget to actually change that. We'll put the prop to full, a little bit of power in there as well. Make sure we got our parking brake set. We do. So we're going to come over now and we'll get the battery on. And we'll go ahead and get our avionics on. Everything comes right up. Okay, so now then we'll get our beacon light on. Fuel boost to on. See, they are clear of the prop. And I'll just yell at them, clear prop. We'll hit the starter on. Okay, oil pressure's coming up. Prop RPM's coming up. You see it spinning as well. And we'll go ahead and put the conditioner lever into low idle. You can see the fuel flow now. Oil pressure's climbing, NG's climbing, ITT's on the rise. We will hear the ignition kind of pick up here. Just a moment. And we'll get the starter off. There it goes. So we have a good start on the engine. Just make sure everything looks okay. Oil pressure's good. Oil temperature's in the green. Alright. We'll leave it in low idle for the moment while we're sitting here on the ramp. Before we get ready and take off, we'll put the fuel boost onto normal. I'll set up our displays here, CDI to GPS, PFD bearing 1 to GPS as well. That's what we're going to be using today. Wind on option 3. Wind should be coming from the south at just a little bit. Probably going to use runway 17 for departure today out of McKenzie. So we can also go ahead and set that up on our heading bug. So we could just center it to make it a little bit easier for us. And then come around to 170. And we saw on the chart there 7,900 feet would be safe. We're going east, so we could set up, if we just really want to be on top of it, 9,500 feet to be nice and safe. Really short flight. Doubt we're going to need to necessarily go that high, but we've got it set up either way. So now we can set our pressure to local pressure. 3008, and it is set in the standby altimeter as well. Back out of this, we'll back out of that window, go on transponder, VFR code set. Alright, we'll get our taxi light on now. It's nice and toasty outside, so we can leave the aircraft set up the way it is as far as all of that goes. And I think we are good to start taxiing, so we'll disengage the parking brake. Like I said, we're going to make a right turn out of here. So we'll go ahead and give it a little bit of throttle. Just start it moving. You have to keep a little bit of power in. You can see the windsock definitely looks like, I mean, it is really light. On Sky Vector, it was showing from 160 at about 10 knots. So we'll go ahead and go to runway 17 either way. We'll just taxi on over here towards the hold short line. Go ahead and turn our flight director on and activate a heading mode and a initial vertical speed mode while we hold short of the runway. So we'll set a vertical speed mode and 800 feet a minute initially. Get our strobe light on. Go ahead and get our landing lights on as well. Get our flaps down. And we'll put our transponder code on there, or our transponder on. And we'll go and put the conditioner lever into its full position there. Okay, so we're just going to taxi out onto the runway. The right looks clear, left looks clear. We're taxi out onto the runway here. We're going to make a left turn onto it, taxi down. Not very far, the threshold's just right down there. These are the 1,000-foot markers right in front of us, so. And we'll turn around and get ready to take off. We'll be looking to rotate today. Hopefully we don't get thrown off of the runway like we did in the last flight. Aircraft just jumped off the runway. Look to rotate today around 85 knots. And we're gonna try and climb out at 110. We'll kind of fly south for a little bit, get our altitude up, and then turn more on course. Alright, so we're coming towards the end here. Slow the aircraft down. I just have a hard time believing that the Caravan takes this much space to actually turn around. I feel like some airliners don't. Well, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it definitely feels a lot bigger. I'll zoom our map out there. And we are lined up. So go ahead and hold our brakes. We'll slowly add the power in. We'll go ahead and release brakes. Nope, a little bit too far there. Pull it back quickly. So easy to do. I don't have a whole lot of range on this throttle, unfortunately, but so I tried and slowly add it up. Anyways, more important things, our airspeed is alive. Holding nice and straight down the middle so far. Go ahead and go for 80 knots. Just wants to take off. We are up. We have a positive rate. We're just going to hold this for a moment. Go ahead and pull the power back a little bit. We saw the ITT creeping up. Alright, we have a good climb and aircraft is still accelerating. So we'll get our flaps in and really pitch back here. Fight that sink. You see, even with pitching back and increasing our climb, those flaps are just so much drag. So deviated a little bit to the left in our takeoff, but we're doing just fine. Coming through 3,000 feet, just about 700 feet over the ground. And we're gonna do a right turn. Left turn would be more direct, but we'll do a right turn because it's going to keep us over the water over here. So we'll do a right hand turn and continue the climb. Look at those low clouds up there towards our south. And then up the river here. Looks pretty nice actually. Pretty good visibility. There's McKenzie down there. It's the airfield. There's a little cloud hanging out right over it. So we're going to continue up the river a little bit, kind of clear the airport before we cross back over and head on course. You can see the altitude of the mountains around us. We're not terribly worried about it. The visibility is good enough. We could definitely just fly around and do our own thing. But we'll kind of see what happens here. We'll go ahead and get our landing lights off and our recog light off there. We set a flight level change mode on, and we could decrease the speed. I said I wanted to climb out at around 110, and we're doing 120 right now. So that'll, I just fly the flight director right now. I'm not on autopilot or anything, but give myself a little bit more trim up. We're well above McKenzie now. Starting to get on the same kind of height as those first couple ridge lines that we'd be flying over. And we're still just kind of flying up the river here. So we'll go ahead and make a right turn. We'll start getting into back into the mountain range, hopping back over. Get on our way to Hudson's Hope. We got a couple really awesome choices, it looks like, at Hudson's Hope as far as where I want to go next. Well, one of them is basically all the way up the river there. I think that'd be pretty cool. Kind of fly back over the mountain range, but get to continue getting the aircraft a little bit further north and exploring, rather than just turn around and come right back to McKenzie. Not that this isn't a cool area, but I think I definitely want to go somewhere new. We're coming up on 7,000 feet. And we can see some of the peaks up in front of us, right around this altitude. The 79 that we saw on the chart on SkyVector should actually should have a built-in buffer basically for safety. So probably avoid the terrain. It just wouldn't be advisable, really. But we'll continue to climb up. There's really no reason not to. Hudson's Hope is 55 miles now, basically towards our north. We have runway 05 and 23 available at Hudson's Hope. Pretty decent sized runway as well, like I said, so unfortunately not able to pick up any kind of weather or anything for Hudson's Hope. No, nothing that I found anyways. So kind of basing it off of the weather that's reported. There's an airfield just a little bit towards the south. They're reporting clear skies, wind coming out of the west-southwest, so we'll probably plan on landing runway 23 at Hudson's Hope because of that. So after kind of getting the trim on check, doing a pretty good job of hand flying the aircraft and just holding the flight director basically. Getting a little bit bouncy as we're getting over the mountain range here. But it looks like we have great visibility all the way across. We don't have far to go, and we can basically see all the way across the mountain range. So even if, I don't think anything's going to force us lower than 9,500 feet to try and avoid the clouds or anything. And the temperature, outside air temperature is actually pretty warm. So don't have to be super concerned about icing. Just a little bit more concerned about the turbulence at the moment. So start to pitch the nose down a little bit. So we're capturing 9,500 feet. Get ready to put the autopilot on for its first little bit. We'll go ahead and capture our current heading. And we'll actually bring it to the right a little bit, make it fly us 225. There's 9,500 feet. Keep the power setting in and get some sweet airspeed. So we are definitely getting bounced around a little bit. But let's go ahead and activate the autopilot now. Autopilot's on. Let's take a look at the wind here. It's about 250 at 1 tree. So we're picking up a pretty nice headwind, or I'm sorry, geez. We're just picking up a pretty nice tailwind out of this. I'm thinking about the fact that I've had a headwind on like my last couple flights. And it's nice to actually have a tailwind. We got 10 knots on the tail, 9 knots, 9-knot crosswind component. Means we're doing 175 true, and we've got about 187 across the ground right now. We are speed. But man, it is bouncy. 46 miles, 15 minutes basically. Let's actually try and go up to 11. See if it gets any smoother. Go for 1,000 feet a minute. Whoa. That is bouncy. Just want it to smooth out a little bit, just a little bit. Had bad turbulence in New Zealand like the past 2 weeks for those flights, and getting rocked around over these mountains. Just want some smooth air. See, that's some weird stuff going on with the mountains down there, but you see through this ridge line the road running all the way through, and just how it kind of steps down into valleys, and it looks really cool. I'm really liking this mountain range. So the wind's turning more into a crosswind as we climb higher, but that's just fine. It does seem a little bit smoother. I still maintain, seeing these roads and these valleys, that there should be some sort of British Columbia rally stage. Jeez. Alright, everybody hold on. Buckle up back there. I think with the rough air, we're supposed to keep the aircraft quite a bit slower. So we'll go ahead and pull the power back. I don't remember the exact speed off the top of my head, but our max weight maneuvering speed, it says here on the dash, is 148 indicated. Doing around 130 right now. For some reason, 133 is sticking in my brain, but I definitely don't have that stuff memorized. Well, just keep the aircraft a little bit slower. Not focus too much on it, but we do have the realism and everything all the way up. I don't want to get thrown into the wing breaking off. And that was violent. That was really, really violent. But even with the tailwind, we got the power pulled back quite a bit. Or because of the tailwind, we're still doing 183 knots across the ground, so. Well, coming up to 11,000 feet, I think wasn't a terrible thing. It is still bumpy, but it's not. I haven't gotten anything as violent as that one little pocket we hit earlier, and we are doing almost 190 knots across the ground. The wind is quite stiff up here, and I think that's really what's causing it. We're getting some gusts and some wind shear. Obviously, coming over the mountain range definitely isn't helping either. But at least it is nice and clear. We have great visibility. We're actually through our original GPS course. We're just going to put the heading bug basically on our... let's see if I can hide this a little bit, make it a little easier. That's not what I wanted to do. Make it a little bit easier to see. We'll change our CDI to green needles there. So our heading bug is on 020. And you can see the little blue diamond, and since our bearing 1 is on GPS, this is actually just pointing directly to where we're going, so we don't have to worry about capturing the path that's kind of planned in or anything. But since that purple diamond is off to the right, we're actually flying just slightly further east than the actual airfield is. So we could just adjust our heading bug a little bit, put that purple diamond right on the blue needle, and fly direct to, let's see, yep, it is about, heading 016 is about direct to, so we'll just set that up and leave it be. Go ahead and put this back on purple needles. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's just the way I would use that personally, rather than fighting you know, capturing on the nav mode with how sensitive it is and everything right now. Just keep it on the heading mode. We're not doing anything super complicated, other than getting absolutely destroyed by this turbulence. At least these mountains look pretty. We are 25 miles away. We can see the big water feature up here. You can also see on the map is basically right around the airfield, so it looks like we'll be on the other side of this kind of ridge. You can see if we stop getting rocked around here. But we are going to want to go for runway 23, like I said. So we'll probably enter in and do a pattern and circle around for runway 23. Jeez, that is violent whenever it shears like that. We're keeping our speed down below 150, so for whatever good that means, there's probably an exact speed that I don't even know, so. But then again, there's only so much you can know. You're doing it in a sim. I don't get paid to fly these things in real life. I do enjoy flying it, and I've been trying to read the POH a little bit. Like I said, reading through all of it and actually knowing all of it are two totally different things. Keeping all that knowledge in your head, I mean, like, people really, really study to get where they are whenever they're flying these things in real life, and I mean, you have to. So it's one of the nice things about the sim. You don't. Whoa! Did you guys see that? Is that a lightning bolt? Random lightning bolt just shot sideways across the sky. Some cloud-to-cloud lightning, I guess. That seems strange, but I mean, that was cool. Oh, there's more over there. I think we just caught a little bit more lightning. Ah, we're getting flashes as well, huh? Well, that's interesting. It didn't look like we'd have a thunderstorm in this kind of weather, but I guess we do. Go ahead and disengage our autopilot. We're 5.5 minutes from the airfield. It has gotten a lot smoother now that we're kind of past the bulk of the mountain range. So we'll go ahead and start our descent down. Just trim the aircraft down just a little bit. We'll pull our power back a touch as well. If it is smooth, we can go ahead and accelerate. I'm not too worried about that. And Hudson's Hope field elevation, like I said, it's right around 2,200 feet. So we'll probably shoot for going down to 4,000, at least initially. I could set this in the altitude bug. .4,000 feet, and we can set our heading. Runway heading is 230. So we'll try and get that set up. Or it's runway 23, so we'll just set 230 in there. We are getting rocked around once again. Airport's now 12 miles, directly off the nose, about 3.5 minutes away. Keeping the aircraft nice and high so we could just cut the throttle, basically start descending in and save some fuel. Textures on some of these mountains are weird, but then the textures on others, I mean, That down there, there's a little patch that's really weird, and then the rest of this looks super sharp. Looks really good. You can see the little cutaway through the forest there for probably some power lines or something going on. I do think we have the airfield in sight. You can see it on the little map there, that little strip. It's got to be the airfield. And I think that is the airfield right there, right along that road. So we are quite high, but that's just fine. We have plenty of time. I like seeing the little paths. You can see basically right where we're looking, the little path carved all the way, either for a road or some power lines. Looks really cool from all the way up here. Let's make sure the wind, excuse me, the wind still looks like it's coming from the west. So we'll continue on with our plan, runway 23. Pull the power back even more. We're gonna get our first notch of flaps out at 150 knots. Today we can get our full flaps out at the start of the white arc, which you could just see right there. It's at 125. There's 6,000 feet over the airfield. So a little too late on the descent, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and actually turn basically 050, and we'll continue descending down as we kind of fly downwind, and then we'll turn a left base and then to final for runway 23 here at Hudson's Hope. You can see the airfield just down there, that nice little clearing. Alright, a nice little river not too far away. It's kind of up on this plateau. It's very nice. Continue coming down. We are a beam almost runway, the threshold for runway 05. About to cross midfield. Just continue doing this. You can see all the buildings down there, just right along the shore, basically. Looks like a nice little town right there, nestled into that, right underneath that plateau. See, we are past the threshold now for runway 23. Still pretty high. Continue outbound for just a moment more. We should probably go ahead and get our landing lights on. Alright, we'll start a left turn. We're coming through 4,400 feet. We are still a little bit high, but should be perfectly manageable, really. Continue the descent here. There is the airfield. See, it is like right on the top of this little plateau. That's really cool. Go and get our first notch of flaps out. Whoa, balloons. Get on top of that, and we'll start a nice turn onto final. continue descending. We're holding around 100 knots, which is just fine. Let's see, full flaps today, we're overshooting our final just a little bit, but that's okay. We'll be doing full flaps today, landing right around, let's see, we're going to try it a little bit slower than normal. We're going to go down to 75 knots on the approach if we can. You see the clearing of trees basically up this plateau. We're full flaps now. We can continue our descent in, and the aircraft will continue to slow. There's 85 knots. There's 80. Yeah, we do have a wind on our wind is almost directly on our nose. It's not much, but worth coming around for 2 tree for the approach. There's 75 knots.
500.
Got some tall trees right there, but it looks like a decent clearing right before the threshold. So don't need to worry about coming in super high or anything to avoid it. It's a little bit bumpy. And we're down a little bit of a kick to the left there whenever we touch down, but pretty smooth. We'll just taxi out towards the end here, and we'll pull off to the ramp. See, not much of a ramp here, but we'll pull off and park up, get the aircraft unloaded, our flight complete. It's a nice short flight, pretty cool airport. Now it's kind of carved in the middle of these trees. These trees are really taxing the computer. Continue slowing down. And we will clear the runway, so we'll go ahead and get our flaps up. Strobes off, landing lights off. Taxi light on. Taxi over here onto the ramp, and we'll just make a left-hand turn, basically big circle around. A little bit of power in. Very, very sloped ramp here. But we are good and parked up now, so we'll get our taxi light off. We'll set our parking brake, which completes our flight in FS Economy. Let's see, whenever I'll accept this window there, and you can see now our flight information goes away, and information aircraft is now on the ground at Hudson's Hope. So that is it for our flight. We should have been paid, which is nice. We'll go through real quick and get the aircraft ready for shutdown. So transponder code onto standby. That is good. Let's see. Go ahead and get our avionics off, fuel boost off, and then we'll come down and go conditioner lever to cut off. And once again, flight complete. Awesome. Good to see. Our beacon off. And then go ahead and get our battery off. Our final step is just close up the tanks. And that is us on the ground. Flight complete. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more. As always, I appreciate having you all along, and y'all's support is just really awesome. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, bye-bye.